Welcome to Whole Being Health, Function, Vitality and Mastery. I'm your host, Warren Williams. So, hopefully you may have seen my other video on introspection. We're going to take it to a slightly different place and talk more about the formula for change. So, to start this off, I'll just explain one particular statement that I like teaching my clients. The formula for change is when the desire for change is greater than the resistance to change. Now, when you break that down, we've spoken about desire in my introspection video, but desire is typically what you want. Will is action, and action creates success. But most people get in their own way. You know this through negative self-sabotage. So I've spoken before in other videos about sacred selfishness. And sacred selfishness means that you impose your own power on yourself through doing what you desire, as will manifest through action. But most people don't like the idea of being responsible, because responsibility is the ability to respond right now in every moment. But we get in our own way and we express this thing of being stuck. We often say, I'm stuck in my life, and that's the resistance to change. But a lot of the time, the only reason why we are resistant to change is because we don't like the idea of responsibility. And I'm sure many of you know, the two things that people fear the most, they say, is public speaking and death. Imagine that. And we don't want to do public speaking because we fear what people will think of us and whether what we're saying is right or wrong. We fear objection. We fear approval or the lack of approval. But remember, approval is deadly because you can never meet someone's approval. You can only meet your own. So in order for you to change, your desire has to be greater than your resistance. You have to want it more than you don't want it. You've probably heard the saying before, he who thinks he can't and he who thinks he can are both right. The reason why is because if you don't think you can, you won't. If you do think you can, you will. You hear that word, will? You will into action. You give yourself the amount of power that you believe, because nothing is more powerful than intention. I always say to my clients, when you have a 100-meter race, none of those athletes that are on that line, that is lined up, is saying to themselves, I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose, and then goes on to win. They have to have this innate belief within themselves that they are going to win until genetics and technique let them down. But they have to match their technique and genetics with their desire through will into action. They cannot resist the natural ability within themselves and expect change. So the formula for change is when the desire is greater than the will. The ability to want something is greater than the ability to not want something. Some of us want success, but we fear what it could mean. Suppose I am successful. Suppose I have no debt. Suppose she says yes. So we limit our ability to gain those things because of the responsibility needed for those things. So you have to know what you truly desire for yourself and make sure you're not resisting the ability to gain that, knowing what it fully represents and what it fully entitles you to, and embrace that, or figure out something else. So, something else I always say to my clients is 4 stages of conscious awareness, because this helps us to facilitate change in our lives. So the first one is unconscious incompetence. So what that basically means is, I'll give you an example with a smoker. So a smoker that continues smoking, and when you try to talk to them about smoking, no, I don't really want to know about that. They are unconsciously incompetent. Incompetent means they're doing something that is harming them, or maiming them, or stopping them from improving their health, vitality, or whatever. But they are unconsciously incompetent. They just don't want to know. The next stage of awareness, progressing forward, is conscious incompetence, which means you are now consciously aware that what you're doing is not good for you, using the smoker as an example. You know now that you shouldn't be doing this thing, and you are faced with the reality of this awareness, and then starting to think about what you should do next. So you have reached the stage of conscious incompetence. The next stage after that, when you truly start changing, is conscious competence. The reason why it's conscious next is because now you are doing consciously competent things, but you have to think about doing it for it to be done. So it's now the smoker who's given up, and that's competent because they've given up. But they constantly have to, every single day, wrestle with their mind to make sure they keep giving up. Because every single day is the day they give up. And when they give up on that day, tomorrow they've got to be faced with the new reality of challenging themselves to continue giving up. So they are consciously competent now. And the final stage is unconscious competence, because they no longer need to think about giving up. It just happens. These are the 4 stages that we all need to go through to get to that formula. The desire for change beating the resistance to change. This is also followed by the 6 stages of action. Pre-contemplation, where you think about it. Pre-contemplation, where you don't really think about it. It's before the stage of even contemplation. Then contemplation is the next stage, where now you start to think about this action. Then preparation, you do all the things necessary, whether it's speaking to friends or family, or getting a loan, or making a plan, but you plan it out, you prepare yourself. And once you've got to the stage of preparation, then the next stage after that has to be action. Because you've got your plan and now you just act on it. So that's the 4th stage of action, is action itself. So you've got pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, and action. The next stage after action, once you've done it, then you are in a stage of maintenance. So you maintain doing it. The final stage is termination or cancellation. And the reason why is because you no longer need to think about maintaining it. It just happens. So you cancel the idea in your mind of making it a habit that's been maintained. It's just part of your life. So those are the 6 stages of action. The next thing to address is core values. Your core values are the guiding principles that allow you to be who you are in every moment and live authentically. So you should have core values in work. What do you desire? What do you want to earn every month? What are you worth? How many hours do you want to work? How far do you want to travel from work? Relationships. How do you want to keep your relationships with friends and family and your spouse? What type of spouse do you like? What things are important to you in your life with your partner and with your family? Lifestyle. What time do you want to go to bed? How much hours sleep do you need? What activities are important to you? What destinations, what locations are important to you? And once you've established your core values, those represent the optimal choice. But then you have to have a suboptimal choice. If your optimal choice is you want to have 8 hours sleep a night, as an example, your suboptimal will be, okay, I can get by with 4 hours or 6 hours because I have to work a shift next week, or because I have a deadline, or because I'm babysitting, or because I'm traveling tomorrow. What's your minimum that you're willing to accept in any situation? The third reaction to core values is apathy. And this is where people get stuck in life. And apathy means to do nothing, but it's not just that. Apathy means to take a moment to reflect and see whether or not you are ready to do something. So apathy also means I need more information before I can make an informed choice in my life. So sometimes apathy is the point where you stop and decide, what do I really desire? So you have the optimal choice, the suboptimal choice, and apathy. Once you shift past apathy, you create the optimal choice, and then the thing you're willing to do, if not the optimal choice. You set all of these parameters for every core value, and when you're able to live authentically, you are empowering yourself through your third chakra. And your third chakra represents personal power and self-will, the ego and self-autonomy, which means, once again, you are living authentically. And when you are empowered by the things that you do and that you desire and want to do through will and action, then you are empowering the power that allows you to move past the resistance to stop you from being stuck in your life. This also relates to the 1% rule of change. As I stated in my other video, it just takes 1% more resistance to stop you from changing. It takes 1% more change to stop you from resisting. So once you kind of balance out in your mind, knowing what you want more powerfully than what you don't want, and accepting your change in life stronger than what you fear in your life, you will create the reality that you desire and want through will and action. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Remember, stay blessed, live authentically, being who you desire and want to be every single day. Stay whole, stay healthy, embracing whole being health.